Letting the time just drift away from me. Feeling my mind, it's drifting out to sea. I wanna smile again before I'm gone. Can we get back to where we used to be? Do we all feel the same? It's just a dream. Can we all laugh again before we're gone? I'm just saving the world.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Sports 360 Show. I am your host, LG, the voice of Cleveland Sports. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad Monday on the north coast of America. The Cleveland Browns lost yesterday, partially due to an inept quarterback that goes by the name of Brandon Weeden. How much do we have to put up with before the fans revolt and get rid of this Brandon Weeden scumbag quarterback that the Browns are stuck with? They wasted the 22nd overall pick in the draft on this guy. And why? It's beyond anybody's wildest imagination. It's going to be a crazy night here on the Cleveland Sports 360 Show, right here at streamingsportstalk.com. If you have some things you want to get off your chest about the Cleveland Browns, give us a call. The number to call is 216-672-4300. Remember, don't forget your great Browns gear. We got a couple of great sponsors on tonight's show. First of all, it's the Dogs Forever, Forever Dogs. Get yourself over to foreverforever.com and be a dog forever, forever dogs. They got some great hoodies, some great tank tops. Of course, the weather's changing here on the North Coast a little bit, and you can get your order in at foreverforever.com. I'm sporting my brand new Rep Cleveland shirt, only available through the ELA BrownsFans.com. That's the letter E, the letter A, BrownsFans.com. Get yourself over to East LA Browns Fans and get yourself a great Rep Cleveland shirt. You guys are going to love it. It's got the city of Cleveland inside the letters. I'm sporting mine. I'm off camera tonight because I'm actually working behind the scenes. Leaf had a little bit of an emergency. He wasn't able to make it. But we're going to be talking Browns football with my man Joe Monaco all the way from Memphis, Nashville area in Tennessee. He's going to give us a little update, if there's any update on Jimmy Haslam, the FBI circling in on the owner of the Cleveland Browns, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not going to be long before we see an indictment coming down against Jimmy Haslam. So while you're waiting for the show to get cooking, we're going to be talking some Browns football. Pay a little visit to Dogs Forever, Forever Dogs. Get yourself some great gear, only at foreverforever.com. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with more of the Cleveland Sports 360 Show. Don't turn that channel. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 Show. I am your host, LG, the voice of Cleveland Sports, and we're going to get into a little Browns football, especially the game yesterday when the Browns went into the locker room leading the game by a score of 17 to what, 7? I mean, come on. You got to be kidding me, right, man? 17 to 7. We head into the locker room at halftime. The Cleveland Browns football team must have been beamed up by aliens. I mean, come on, folks. We got to do better than this. Brandon Weeden completes 26 of 43 passes for 292 yards, and half of those yards are what we call garbage yards. The Detroit Lions were backed way up. They weren't going to let him get anything long off down the field. So what does Weeden do? He pads his stats. He's famous for padding his stats. The Cleveland Browns organization, under the coach of Pat Shurmur last year, were professionals at padding stats for Brandon Weeden. This guy is not nearly as good as the 292 yards of passing that they're claiming he threw for yesterday. It's a joke. It's deceiving. It's dishonest. He threw 2 interceptions. One, it was just ludicrous to throw a ball up like that underhand. It's crazy, you know. I don't get it. I don't know what, you know. I can't even think of words to describe how bad Brandon Weeden is at trying to be an NFL quarterback. He turned 30 years old today. Who in their right mind takes a quarterback that turns 30 years old? It's only in his second season as a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. This guy is terrible. Brandon Weeden sucks. He doesn't belong to wear the orange and brown. He's a disgrace to the city. He's a disgrace to the team. And I'm sick and tired of hearing these coaches make excuses for Brandon Weeden. This guy is beyond bad, folks. Get it through your head. We got bad news for you. Chazinski at his news conference today said the Browns have no plans on changing quarterbacks. Brandon Weeden is going to be the starting quarterback, and he's going to get the shit knocked out of him over the next 2 weeks when we take on the Green Bay Packers. Then we got to travel to Kansas City, two road games into hostile territories, Lambeau Field. You know the Browns aren't going to see all of a sudden Brandon Weeden turning into a professional caliber NFL quarterback. It's just not going to happen, folks. The other thing is the Kansas City Chiefs, they're undefeated this season. They're 6-0. The Browns, I'm telling you right now, they sacked Terrell Pryor yesterday 10 times, the Kansas City Chiefs did. 10 sacks, okay? What's going to happen to Brandon Weeden, who is very immobile? You know, Terrell Pryor can run. He that guy can scramble. He can go. This Weeden has 2 left feet. It's despicable to try to see this guy run. It's unbelievable. I don't even know the right words to what can you say about this guy? He is terrible at trying to be an NFL quarterback. The scouting reports were dead on. They said he's 4 to 5 years away from being NFL ready. They never said, oh, in 4 to 5 years, Weeden's going to be one of the best players that ever lived. It's terrible. We're stuck with this guy, and I don't understand what the Cleveland Browns think they're going to do to improve Brandon Weeden's play on the field. You know, we brought in Devon Best this year from the Miami Dolphins. Everybody was, whoa, we got a third down receiver. You know, we talk about some of the other receivers we have. We got Josh Gordon. He's doing a fantastic job, although Josh is dropping a few balls. Greg Little, of course, has had his problems in the past. Little is definitely hanging on to the football a little better. We saw it yesterday. A lot of people were surprised. Travis Benjamin, the guy's a threat every time he puts his hands on the football, folks. He broke a 45-yard run play yesterday. Why aren't we doing more of that with Brandon Weeden at the helm? This guy, he doesn't have the skill set. He doesn't have the mental capacity to play NFL quarterback. Weeden is terrible. How we got stuck with this guy? Why aren't we going to Jason Campbell? That's another good question. The Browns coaching staff went out and signed Jason Campbell to back up Brandon Weeden. We skipped right over him and went to Hoyer. I don't know what the problem is. If Chazinski has a hard-on for this guy, he doesn't like him. They're the people that went out and signed him. Jason Campbell was not a part of the Cleveland Browns organization until this coaching staff came in and made him part of this organization. We paid him a few $1,000,000. Some of that money's guaranteed. The guy's standing on the sideline doing very little. The fans of Cleveland deserve better than Brandon Weeden. We're sick and tired of seeing this guy go out game after game and make the same stupid mistakes time in and time again. This guy is stupid when it comes to playing NFL quality football. He doesn't have the capacity to understand the game of football. Are you kidding me? Who throws the ball underhand? We're down by 7 points. We're still in the game. Can you imagine how the momentum would have shifted had Brandon Weeden not thrown that interception, not taken away any possible chance for the Cleveland Browns to win this football game? It's disgusting, folks. I don't know how much more we have to put up with. Weeden is not going to get it done. You saw a guy in Matthew Stafford that came to Cleveland. This is a quality quarterback. He runs well. He moves well. He throws the ball well. There's nothing he couldn't do. Reggie Bush bushwhacked the Cleveland Browns yesterday. What about this killer defense the Cleveland Browns is supposed to have? This defense is it's slipping, man. And I'll tell you, it's not everybody's going, well, they gave up 24 points yesterday. Sure they did in the second half of the football game, but you can't go 3 and out a bunch of times and think that this is how you're going to stop somebody. The defense is going to be tired, man. Cleveland only was efficient 5 of 14 times on third down. We still suck offensively on third down, trying to get that first down. I don't get it, man. You know, Gordon had 7 receptions for 126 passes yesterday, and he did a good job, you know. We're not getting the ball. You saw the difference with Hoyer. When Hoyer came in on the field, compared to Brandon Weeden, he was able to put the ball where only his receiver could make a play at it. We're watching this guy that was supposed to have such a big arm and accurate. They told us how accurate this arm was. He accurate. These people just don't know what accurate really is, because he's not very accurate at all. Look how he's overthrowing his receivers. He doesn't lead them right. He doesn't put the ball where only they can catch it. It's amazing that he hasn't had more interceptions. One statistic that knocked my socks off yesterday was the fact he actually had 99 passes without an interception. I'm not saying he had 99 completions, because we know Brandon Weeden doesn't make completions. Now let's talk about the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Rob Chudzinski. What the hell is Chud thinking? He can see the difference himself. He's the one that passed over Jason Campbell to pick Hoyer as the starter when Weeden went down with a thumb injury. And I don't understand what's his logic now going into a press conference today telling us that the coaches didn't even contemplate making a quarterback change. And I got to tell you, I don't understand why. What are they waiting for? Is somebody going to wave a magic wand over Brandon Weeden's head, and the next thing you know, we have the next, Peyton Manning? Come on, man. This guy's out of his league. He doesn't have a clue. I'm starting to wonder if Chudzinski's following the footsteps of Brandon Weeden as far as being clueless. Jimmy Haslam came in. He bought the Cleveland Browns. He says he's going to put a winner on the field. He didn't say we're going to suck this year, which 3 in a row gave the fans a taste of winning, Jimmy. What are you going to do now? Can't you put your foot down and say, you've seen enough of Weeden? I remember last year seeing you on the television a few times, Mr. Haslam, and you looked a little irate at some of these decisions that Brandon Weeden was making, and you were lost for words when it came to describing. I remember one time you made the comment, we need a quarterback, and we still need a quarterback. We saw a guy that nobody even heard of yesterday, this Joseph Fioria, whatever the hell his name is, from the Detroit Lions. He caught 3 passes yesterday from Matthew Stafford, and all 3 passes were for touchdowns that the Browns couldn't defend. A tight end, nobody on the Cleveland Browns can cover. Now, I can understand the guy catches 1 touchdown pass. I can understand maybe the guy catches 2 touchdown passes, but who the hell was supposed to be covering Joseph Fiora when he got the 3rd touchdown pass? That is unacceptable. That's a breakdown in communication somewhere. DeQuil Jackson, you're supposed to be a field general out there for the Cleveland Browns defense. I expect you to do a better job than we saw yesterday, and I tell you right now, if this is the way you guys are going to play football when you go to Green Bay next week, it's going to be a bloodbath out there, I got to tell you, man. Joe Hayden. Let's talk about Joe Hayden. Is Joe Hayden really the shutdown corner that everybody presents him to be? He had 3 tackles yesterday, 3 solo tackles. He had 1 pass deflection, and he had a heck of a time trying to cover Calvin Johnson, who definitely is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL today. There's no question about Megatron's abilities. But for weeks we've heard Joe Hayden talk about how he was going to shut down Calvin Johnson. Now, Calvin Johnson came into this game with 1 day of practice on Friday. He had a very sore knee. This thing was still swollen up, from my understanding. And he was questionable even to play this game. Yet Joe Hayden takes back-to-back pass interference calls, folks. You grab the jersey of an NFL receiver today in the NFL, and you are going to get the flag. There's absolutely no question about it. I do believe Joe Hayden is a good cornerback. He's slightly better than average, but as far as being a shut-down corner, I don't believe Joe Hayden is. I wrote a bunch of articles on the Cleveland Sports 360 website last year. You can go back through the archives, look up the Joe Hayden on the Cleveland Sports 360 website. I question his ability to really deliver a shutdown corner performance that we're always hearing. I've seen A.J. Green burn Joe Hayden. I've seen multiple receivers burn Joe Hayden. I think Joe Hayden is not the shutdown corner everybody presents him to be. So that presents another problem. I got to tell you, the Cleveland Browns defensive secondary is so much better this year than people thought it was going to be. We had big question marks coming into the 2013 season. Buster Screen has stepped up huge and done a great job for the Cleveland Browns so far this season. He's improving every game. Don't forget, if you got anything you want to contribute to this, give us a call right here at streamingsportstalk.com. The number to call in is 216-672-4300. We'll be glad to take your calls. You can tell us what your thoughts are for the Cleveland Browns. Hey, every Sunday throughout the Browns season, or for, we were there on Thursday night, the Sports Fix and Cleveland Sports 360 team up to bring you one of the best Browns watch parties on the North Coast. It takes place at the Hairy Buffalo in North Olmsted. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't been to the Hairy Buffalo in North Olmsted, you don't know what you're missing, because this is a great place to watch the game, man. They got a patio outside with a covered bar. It's phenomenal. Televisions all the way around, 360 degrees out there. Inside, everywhere you look, there's a big screen TV, and you can see the game, you can hear the game. Follow the Sports Fix on Facebook. Give us a like at the Cleveland Sports 360 Facebook page. And don't forget about our sister site, the USA Sports 360 site. Visit us on Facebook, like us, and you can see us at Cleve Sports 360 on Twitter, and follow us there too. But I got to tell you, man, I'm a little disappointed in the performance of Brandon Weeden and the Cleveland Browns. We got a couple of games that we won in a row. Weeden came in, he took relief for the injured Hoyer, and that really deflated the Cleveland Browns fans' egos. The Weeden got booed. He heard the boos. He understands where he's at with this team, and I got to tell you, he's on a very short leash with the fans anyway. May not be the coaches, but with the fans anyway. When we look at the statistics from yesterday's game, we got to tell you, Jordan Cameron had 5 catches for 64 yards. Obaniah, he did a great job, 7 catches for 61 yards. Devon Bess, only 2 catches for 21 yards. He's supposed to be our third down possession receiver. Where the hell was Brandon Weeden throwing the football? You know, I don't want to hear about all these dropped passes. One of the biggest problems is the dropped passes on the Kansas City Chiefs this season. Anybody that has watched a Kansas City Chiefs football game has to notice that Alex Smith has more people dropping his footballs than anybody else in the NFL right now. And guess what their record is, folks? 6-0. How is Alex Smith able to win football games when his Chiefs drop 90% of the passes thrown their way? It's almost that bad. I don't have the exact statistic on how many drop passes the Kansas City Chiefs have had this season, but I can tell you this, folks, it isn't pretty out there, and they still manage to win football games because Alex Smith can come back to the huddle and he can shake that off. He's got a short-term memory that's fantastic, and that's something Brandon Weeden doesn't possess because he doesn't have the mental capabilities to play NFL football, especially at the at the quarterback position. Now I got to tell you, how are we supposed to trust this guy with the football? Think about it. Nobody touches the Cleveland Browns football on offense more than Brandon Weeden. He's a guy that can't be trusted in that position. He throws the ball to the wrong people. He makes interceptions. He's not good. He doesn't make a lot of completions. And the completions he does make are garbage completions near the end of the game where the defense in a prevent mode to stop the long ball. Brandon Weeden isn't the answer to produce a lot of wins for our Cleveland Browns. Chazinski, I don't know what you're drinking, what you're smoking. I don't even know how the hell you got this job if the best you can put on the field is Brandon Weeden. You got Campbell there. At least you could put him into a game-time situation and see if this guy can produce for the Cleveland Browns fans. You owe it. You were a fan of the Cleveland Browns growing up. I don't know what you're thinking today saying Brandon Weeden is going to be your quarterback and you don't have any change in life coming up for Brandon Weeden. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more of the Cleveland Sports 360 show right here, streamingsportstalk.com.
Going this way, I'm always going that
day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. I am your host, LG, the voice of Cleveland Sports, and joining us all the way from Nashville, Tennessee, my man, Joe Monaco. Joe, you there, buddy?
I'm here, LG. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Joe. How you doing, man?
Doing great, bro. Doing great. It could be better if the Browns could get some W's, but it's just not going to happen with number 3 back there.
That's our man, Joe Monaco. He covers the Browns once in a while for us on the ClevelandSports360.com website. The man knows his Cleveland Indians baseball. He's been following Cleveland sports a very long time. Joe, let me ask you, you being down there in Tennessee, you get a lot of news around the Tennessee area. Obviously, Jimmy Haslam's brother's the governor of your great state of Tennessee. What are you hearing about Jimmy Haslam getting indicted by the FBI? You hearing anything on that?
Last week, I read something, LG. The FBI, the feds aren't giving up. They're investigating him still beyond, because even though he made those repayments back to the previous truckers companies that supposedly got gypped off, I would say, but they're still investigating beyond that, and it doesn't seem to be over yet.
Yeah, I heard the FBI is closing in, and we can get an indictment at any given time now on this Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not over yet. That's from what we're hearing down here, but who's to say until we hear the final verdict what's going on. But
so it's bad enough we got a quarterback in Brandon Weeden that's inept at doing his job. We may have an owner that gets indicted, and who knows what's going to happen to our Cleveland Browns after that. Joe, obviously you watched the game yesterday. What did you think of Mr. Brandon Weeden's performance out there on the field?
In the first half, it seemed like he picked off in the second half of the Buffalo game. And in the second half of the game, he was just back to Brandon Weeden and his own, tricks. I've never seen an interception like that last interception he threw as long as I've been following football.
Yeah,
he just does not have the smarts.
No, he's not smart at all. That's what I've been saying. He may be a very intelligent human being when it comes to other things away from the football field, but as far as having the intelligence to play NFL football, that's something we haven't seen come out of Mr. Weeden yet. So, Joe, did you hear that Rob Chudzinski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, says there is no quarterback change on the horizon?
That's what I heard. Through the media, through social media and everything else. I don't know if that's a ploy. I don't know if that's something that, that they're trying to do. I don't know if the Browns are just tanking the season. But I got to say this, I can't say that they are, but I got to say this, though. Matt Flynn got signed by Buffalo, I think, today.
Oh, what a bummer,
and,
man.
It's just, I would give any of these guys, Flynn, if he was available. If Schaub was still struggling, he had a leg injury yesterday, I would have still tried to see if I could swing a deal if Houston was interested enough to trade for him. Because I just think right now he's just in a bad slump. And I think he's a good quarterback. And I tell you what, who knows how Matt Schaub would have played under North Turner's system if they could be able to acquire him. But now that he's injured, that sort of much quiets that down. But Troy Smith is out there still, right?
Yeah, Troy Smith expressed interest in playing with the Cleveland Browns, as a matter of fact. And you're right, Joe. The Buffalo Bills did sign Matt Flynn, and I'm a little surprised at that because the other guy did a pretty decent job for them yesterday, a former Cleveland Brown quarterback. He took them into overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals, and you got to admit, you didn't think that was going to happen,
No, and I'm telling you, I think, since day one, since 1999, it's been a problem at quarterback. Tim Couch, who knows how he would have turned out.
Had he would have had an offensive line to protect him a little bit.
Right, but what I'm saying is the rest of the time, there hasn't been a quarterback since number 19 that's carried the Browns into success, and it's a shame, and that is an important position, the important position on a football team, and I think Holmgren was a mistake. I would have rather had Jim Brown running the Cleveland Browns as president of the Cleveland Browns than Mike Holmgren. He was here just to collect the money, like Jim Brown was saying, and that's true.
Absolutely.
And I have to agree with number 32 because he really like took it to the Browns with his new, when once Randy Lerner stole to Jimmy Haslam. I really believe that he just took it to the Browns. He knows quarterbacks better than Brandon Weeden. I mean, he coached Montana, he coached Steve Young, and he coached Brett Favre.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the phone with us from Nashville, Tennessee, Joe Monaco. Sorry, Joe, I had to put you back out there.
That's all right. Thank you. How do you put Brandon Weeden in there, a 28-year-old quarterback at the time, and getting a draft pick at 28 years old and number 1 pick? He knew what he was doing, and I believe that he really just took it to the Browns. And you could say all you want, but I really just think this guy makes Brady Quinn look like a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely. And another thing, today's Brandon Weeden's 30th birthday, so
happy birthday, but still.
3 starts for Brandon Weeden in the 2013 season, Joe Monaco, and 3 losses. What do you make of that, man? 3 starts and 3 losses. We're not seeing a more mature Brandon Weeden, are we?
No, you're not. You can compare Brandon Weeden like Ryan Tannehill. You can see Ryan Tannehill taking the steps up from his first year to his second year. And I think right now, what we're seeing is Brandon Weeden is just like stuck on the first step. He just has not got beyond the first step, and you can see the difference. You can see that he's not grasped anything, because I really don't. He might have the physical talent to play football with his arm, other than not running. He can't run, but he's got physical, attributes with his arm, but he just can't. He doesn't have the smart.
Joe, we talk about his arm. We talk about his arm. We've been hearing about his arm. This guy is not that accurate. Brandon Weeden misses a lot of receivers. You saw when Hoyer was in there how he put the ball in specific spots that only his receiver could come down and catch that football. Now, Joe, I got to ask you something, man. We signed Devon Best. Everybody was excited with that trade right before the NFL draft this year. And yesterday on third downs, the Cleveland third down efficiency was 5 for 14. What in the world did we go out and get Devon Best for if Brandon Weeden can't find this guy who's been known to be a third down possession receiver, Devon Best, man? What's your take on that, Joe? 5 out of 14 in third down efficiency yesterday.
I agree with you, LG. You go get this guy. You make a trade to put some cohesiveness in the wide receiving core, and then all of a sudden now you're not throwing to him as much. I can understand Josh Gordon's out on the field there, but he's your number 1 threat. But man, you got to throw underneath, and Greg Little's like, one day he's on and one day he drops. But why aren't they going to the veteran receiver? I don't understand what Chud and North Turner are doing, and I believe that why you go spend this money or spend the draft pick for this guy if you're not going to let him be part of the offense more?
Absolutely, man, especially when you look at the third down efficiency. Devon Best was brought here. He's famous for being a third down possession receiver, and we're 5 for 14 on third down, man. Is that because Brandon Weeden's out there playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Joe?
Absolutely. You could see the difference when Hoyer was in her. And I know you have one of your favorite fans there out there on social media, always backing up number 3. But let me tell you something. Weeden's had the same personnel as Brian Hoyer's had.
Absolutely, same offensive line.
And how come Brian Hoyer, number 6, can move the football field, team down the football field with the same personnel? Then the same, and then when Weeden, he just like he's 3 and out. Now explain that to me. Is there a confidence level with Hoyer versus Weeden that they get bummed out, that offense is just not pumped up to go down the field? It's the same.
You know what's even funnier, Joe? There's never any open receivers when Brandon Weeden's on the field, and the reason for that is he's just looking at his primary receiver, and he never looks off and scopes out for a check down guy or who else could be open down the field. I guarantee you, on most of those plays yesterday, there was somebody open down the field, man.
Oh, sure there were, and I'm sure there were, and let me tell you this too. Defenses are stacking up 7 up on a line when Weeden's quarterbacking, and maybe 4 or 3 are up against the line when Hoyer's quarterbacking, because they know Hoyer can move, and they have to respect his scrambling abilities. They know, the defense coordinators know when Weeden's back there, he's like cement with cement cleats, and they can just bring the whole kitchen sink to him and stack 7 on the line if they have to, and that's why that guy. Now, I seen North Turner yesterday try to roll out Weeden a little bit before the first half was over. He was trying to roll him out, and it seemed like he was getting a little bit of success by that. But for the most part, he's just like trying to run in cement, and he can't move. And Bernie Kosar can move quicker than him.
Yeah, and that's not saying much. Now, Weeden was only sacked 2 times for 23 yards yesterday. He was hit a lot more than that. The total quarterback hits that they had yesterday was 6 only on Weeden. That's not a whole lot compared to what he's been punished through. I'm surprised Sue didn't come after Weeden a whole lot more than he did. But the truth of the matter is he only had 6 quarterback hits yesterday all day from the Detroit defense on Brandon Weeden, man.
We have LeVeo back in there. Is Cousins sitting on the bench right now, or is LeVeo starting in place of him, or is Pinkston back yet?
Yeah, I'm not sure that Pinkston was back, but I know Cousins was still in there. But you got Lovano coming back in. There's a couple of guys. Greco was in there. I mean, you got a couple of guys.
Yeah.
The offensive line, they can only do so much. Weeden makes the offensive line look terrible, Joe, because as we just discussed, we had the same personnel playing for Hoyer, and he made the offensive line looking pretty good because he could get that quick release and he could get rid of the football. And he can make a lot of completions, man. And you know what, Joe? What really gets to me is all the garbage yards we see with Brandon Weeden. And when I'm talking garbage yards, the guy had 145 yards of passing midway through the third quarter yesterday for the Cleveland Browns. 145 yards worth of passing, Joe. The only successful passing he was doing yesterday were these 4, 5, and 6 yard passes. His long balls were terrible, man. What's your take on that?
Well, let me ask you this, LG. I mean, yesterday, if I remember when I was watching the games down here, and there was a stat up like early in the third quarter saying that the Browns had total offense was 256 yards in the first half, and then in the second half, at that point when they put that statistic up, they only had 6 yards total offense late in the third quarter. Now let me explain something, LG. What is going on here? I know he's not the best quarterback out there. Is that all blamed 100% on number 3, or is it blamed on North Turner or the offensive coordinator and Chud for not readjusting at halftime?
Well, that's another key point you bring up is halftime adjustments, and obviously the team that goes in and makes the better halftime adjustments are definitely going to dominate the second half of the football game. And that's been a problem for the Cleveland Browns, as we've always noticed since 1999, Joe. Our second half adjustments are null and void, man. These guys, what are they thinking, man? We got this game. We got a 10-point lead. We can just screw around here. But this is a quarterback in Brandon Weeden that couldn't even get his Cleveland Browns offense in the field goal position, Joe. We couldn't even get in the field goal range. What kind of guy can't at least get his team in the field goal range? And how do you expect to win when you got a guy that can't get you in the field goal range, man?
I thought we would have 1 less, maybe 2 less wins if Hoyer never came about and played those 2 or 3 games. And he would never, and I guarantee you, Weeden would have not thrown any game-winning touchdown like at Minnesota if Weeden was quarterback instead of Hoyer.
Absolutely.
And you can tell when a quarterback like Hoyer has been studying under Brady, when he's been under Brady, and for the last couple of years sitting on a bench and learning. I mean, is it Weeden's fault that there's not a veteran quarterback? I mean, is it the Browns' fault for rushing him in his first year and starting him? I mean, I don't know, but I'm
absolutely. We could have kept. We could have. A lot of people laugh, but we could have kept Colt McCoy. He had an understanding of how to play football.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take Colt McCoy right now, being under snap right now, with the offense that we have and the receivers that we have. He's got receivers to throw to this year. Yeah, the running game is not at full strength, but with Obi and with McGahee, McGahee gets the short yardage and the tough yards, and you can use Obi as a weapon coming out of the backfield as a receiver. But why? I would love to have Colt McCoy sitting right back there right now instead of Weeden, because at least Colt McCoy is smart reading defenses, and you know what? You look at the game yesterday and you see Stafford, right? You see Stafford. I say by you count 1,000, 2 1,000, that ball's gone already, man.
Right.
And it's released already, and still you count 6 1,000 or 7 1,000, and Weeden's still trying to figure out who to throw to.
You talk about Willis McGahee. I mean, the guy's a cagey veteran. He's been around. He's had over four 1,000 yards, 4 1,000-yard seasons or better with 4 different NFL teams, Joe. The guy knows how to run the football. He averaged 3.7 yards a carry yesterday. His long was 12 yards, man. So, you know what? That's better than Richardson was averaging for the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns fans will get a chance to see what a bust-out Trent Richardson is tonight when the Indianapolis Colts play on Monday Night Football.
Well, they see the game tonight. I mean, I understand he's going in mid-season form and he's switching to do 2 different offenses, but at least he's got a real pro quarterback sitting behind him, and in front of him, I should say. And let me tell you this: I still think that Trevor Richardson could be a decent player in the NFL. I just think right now he's just caught him between 2 teams. And he's got to learn the system. I mean, it's like McGahee coming in to the Browns, and he's not played all year, and he's getting thrown in there on a couple plays here and there, and picking it up week by week. So the key is watching T. Rich to see if he does progress and take the first step as games go by with his team that he's in with right now. But I still say the Browns had pretty much like swiped the Colts with a draft pick, the number 1 pick. So
Absolutely.
I think T. Rich could be a good player in the NFL. I just think right now he's just caught between teams and offensive systems. I think the jury's out on him still. But I could see maybe that Browns brass is not seeing something in his run. He's not running hard or hitting the holes quick enough instead of dancing. I don't know. But, I mean, they had their reasons. But I can guarantee you, LG, next year the Browns will be heavily, and wouldn't surprise me if they just tank the season to have Weeden back there, and if he's healthy still, and play every game as much I hate to say this, and tank the season to get a higher draft pick next year so they can start drafting a franchise quarterback, a stud running back, and another wide receiver and some offensive line depth.
Well, you think really that Chazinski really wants to tank the entire season, man? His first season.
He's not going to do that, but that could be. I mean, who do you play? Do you put Campbell in there?
Well, why did they bring Jason Campbell to Cleveland, Joe? I mean, they are the coaches of the Cleveland Browns. Him and Norv Turner and the front office that we have now, which is the entire new regime, Joe. They brought Jason Campbell to Cleveland. They gave him millions of dollars, and a lot of that is guaranteed money. Why bring Campbell to Cleveland if you've never intended to play this man? Why did they bring him here?
I agree. I mean, I don't understand the thinking. I mean, yeah, you want a veteran quarterback in there in case of somebody getting hurt, but I mean, do you want to move forward as a team, or do you want to just go back and keep collecting draft picks, hoping you get lucky one year and you draft a great quarterback? This has been the Achilles heel since 1999 of the Cleveland Browns organization. They don't have a franchise quarterback. How do you think Denver, if they didn't have Peyton Manning, would do right now?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's night and day. It's the most crucial part on your football team, and the Browns front office organization going through transitions between front office personnel and head coaches just don't get it straight, because they have to understand that I guess they don't think the quarterback's an important position, that they got to draft higher up and get a running back or get an offensive line guy or get a wide receiver as a number 1 pick or a defensive player. And I'm not knocking it, because the Browns defense is close to being a stud defense.
But they fell apart a little bit yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, it's because, again, when you got a quarterback back there that doesn't have a sustained drive, and you're going 3 and out, your defense is going to get tired.
Absolutely. That's what I said, too. Three 3 and outs in a row starting the second half of the football game, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look at Hoyer. When he was playing back there, LG, he had sustained drives. his rest of the defense up.
And some of them drives were over 90 yards long, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you're giving your defense the best rest you can give them, so when they go back out on the field, they're ready to go. They're not catching wind. And I mean, the guy who was getting beat up yesterday was Robertson, man. He was getting beat up at linebacker, and he couldn't contain Reggie Bush.
Yeah, Reggie Bush really did a number on the Cleveland Browns, and obviously, like you said, the halftime adjustments that the Cleveland Browns made coming out were terrible, and Bush was utilized heavily in the second half of that football game yesterday, and he did a really, really great job. And what about this Joseph Fiera guy? That, the tight end, he was a nobody coming into this game. 3 touchdown passes. He only was thrown 2-3 times in the game yesterday, Joe, and he scored 3 touchdowns for the Detroit Lions, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I see right now on the defense that I think that's stopping them from being the premier defense. I think the Browns need to draft another linebacker. And I don't know if Jabal Sheard has been. I mean, he's been hurt. I don't know in a 3-4 if he's playing back at the linebacker spot. But they're missing some speed there, and I think that at cornerback once in a while they get burned. But I mean, there was if Calvin Johnson was hurt yesterday, I mean there were some times that number 23 Hayden was getting beat up.
Absolutely.
And I just think. And I just think right now, I just really think that the Browns need on defensive side is another line. They're set at the line on the defensive line. I mean, they got so much depth there; it's not even funny. But I think on the linebacker spot, you need another fast linebacker, and you need another cornerback. Get Buster Skrine out of that outside, coverage because he's good on the inside slot, but he's not a starting other balance. And I think the Browns are out of balance. Just having Hayden on the one corner spot.
I thought Buster Skrine looked very much improved this season so far, Joe. I mean, he's definitely.
I agree.
He's definitely stepped up and answered the call. He's not getting burnt like we used to see Buster Skrine getting burnt, man.
No, and this Gibson kid looks.
Oh, this kid's an animal.
This kid could be another stud coming at cornerback. But they next year. I believe the Browns will draft quarterback, running back, offensive line for more depth at the spot so they can have better guards and run the ball through the guards. That it kills this team is not having a sustained running or hold through the guard spot. Now, I think Max Mitchell Schwartz is learning at the other tackle spot. I don't think he's a wasted pick. I just think he's just relearning a whole new.
He did a fantastic job last season, Joe. But I think what happened when you put Cousins next to him, and he doesn't have the NFL experience to take up his spot and Cousins' spot and try to take on 2 guys at the same time. You know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, and I just think that's hurting him on his side. Maybe he'll play better with like they did last year. He played well because LaVeo was on his side. And I think that that's hurt. I think Mitchell Schwartz here in the beginning of this, the early part of the year here, but I wouldn't give up on him. I think the Browns' problems are at the guard spot, at the wide receiver, at quarterback, and at running back. And I think next year you'll see between free agency and I believe through the draft you'll see the offensive side try to get up to the defensive side level talent wise.
Well, one thing I got to tell you, I think the biggest problem, and I hate to keep going back to it, but the biggest problem is the quarterback, Joe. Until we do something about the quarterback position, we're not going to be a competitive football team.
I tell you what, Weeden needs to be gone. I don't hate on anybody. I mean, I love everybody, but I'm just saying his play is not what is expected of an NFL quarterback. I mean, he just doesn't know how to read defenses. I mean, last year we talked about the same thing that he's doing this year, and he's just locking in receivers. He is just taking his time to release the ball. He can't move. That's 3 strikes right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't see the maturity coming, Joe. I mean, this is his sophomore season, and I see him making some of the same mistakes he made last season. So he's not growing as a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Brandon Weeden definitely is a weak spot for this team, and we got to do something, and I don't know what we're going to do. Going to face Aaron Rodgers next week. What do you think's going to happen in Green Bay at Lambeau Field facing Aaron Rodgers, Joe?
Well, I could see the scenario happen like we saw in the second half yesterday, and I hope I'm wrong. But if Weeden's going 3-and-out against, now you got to remember, Green Bay's lost Cobb now. The Alex Cobb, I mean the not Alex Cobb, but the receiver Cobb. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. He had an injury yesterday.
Right. They're banged up. I mean, there's no doubt. Clay Matthews is injured.
Their defense is hurting in a couple spots. And if Weeden can't move the ball or have sustained drives, what you saw in the second half happened to our defense, that just got winded and they just didn't play well. It could be ugly for us because he's going to have sustained drive to trust our defense. And if he can't do that, it's game, set, and match, man.
And then after that, it's off to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, who sacked Terrell Pryor 10 times. 10 times in yesterday's game, Joe.
And Terrell Pryor can move, correct?
Oh my God, can Terrell Pryor move, Joe? This guy is.
We got Weeden, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. On the phone with us all the way from Nashville, Joe Monaco, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen when you take Brandon Weeden and you put him on that Kansas City Chiefs field. 10 times they sacked Terrell Pryor yesterday. They're going to have a field day getting to number 3 for the Cleveland Browns, aren't they, Joe?
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what, LG. It's not going to be. If we get I know every game is different from game to game, but if he's starting Sunday and he just gets into it, what do you do at halftime? Do you bench the dude and bring Jason Campbell in? I mean, if he's going 3-and-out and he's just making stupid mistakes, that coach has got to make a move, man.
Well, like I said, Chazinski said today at his news conference, the coaching staff never even considered making a change with Brandon Weeden yet.
Well, they don't have any. I guess they must not be too confident with Jason Campbell coming in. I don't know who's the third-string quarterback, but they must not have anything. Now, who's this quarterback that I saw somebody put a post out today on social media about? I can't remember the guy's name, but he's on the Green Bay's practice, or not the Green Bay's, but Indianapolis practice squad.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you're referring to.
Look into that, LG. Look into it to see who that is. If you can investigate who that is.
I'll do that.
Because there's a guy out there that some fans, more than one fan, has posted about the Browns trying to acquire this guy.
Well,
I don't know where he's come from, and I've never heard his name before. But I just wonder why more than one fan has been pointing towards this guy for the Browns to pick up. Do you believe? Let me ask you this question, LG. Do you think Banner or Lombardi is on the phone lines trying to do something or trying to bring another quarterback in here, or are they just going to really just sit back and just let everybody see how bad really number 3 is?
Well, I got to tell you, coming into the season, Lombardi, definitely there was some bad feelings with Michael Lombardi, and it was his idea to bring in Hoyer. So I can't believe that Lombardi's just sitting back and not doing his job trying to find the Cleveland Browns another quarterback, Joe. And the reason I'm saying that is there's enough bad taste for Michael Lombardi. Joe Banner had to hide the guy for a lot of, the first part of the season. They didn't even let Michael Lombardi go out and talk to the media because, as Banner put it, he's a lightning rod, And I don't think Lombardi's in love with Brandon Weeden. I don't think Joe Banner is in love with Brandon Weeden. Why this coaching staff, including Rob Chazinski, is in love with Brandon Weeden, I have no clue, Joe. But I would think that Michael Lombardi's out there trying to do what he can do to find somebody other than Brandon Weeden. Now, Chazinski did say today they are still hunting for a third-string quarterback, Joe. So maybe that's their logic. We'll put a third stringer in that will replace Brandon Weeden. They did it with Hoyer. Maybe they're waiting to find another quality third-string quarterback because they don't want to put the second-string guy in. He'll really show up Brandon Weeden. Maybe that's their. I don't know. I don't get it, Joe. I'm disgusted.
I don't get it either, but I think what you're saying, LG, is I think that Chazinski doesn't know what the Browns doing. He doesn't know what Lombardi's going to do to acquire anybody. And right now, his only option is to use Weeden. And I don't understand. Maybe they don't think Jason Campbell has the arm strength anymore. Maybe he can't move anymore. And I know for sure Weeden can't move. And I would think Jason Campbell can move quicker than him.
Oh, there's no doubt that Campbell can move.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the powers to be, he's just probably saying that right now. Maybe stalling the media or stalling time till they pick somebody up.
Well, we're about out of time, Joe, man. Give me your prediction for next week. The Cleveland Browns travel in the Lambeau Field to take on Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers. What's your best prediction?
Well, I mean, you know Weed's going to start because it's already Monday, right? So, I mean, they're not, unless they get some veteran quarterback that you know is forced in, or some quarterback, third-string quarterback gets forced in because of an injury. You know Weed's going to be starting Sunday, and either this is his last, I think this is his last hurrah. Either he has to step up to the plate, and like you remember the Dallas game last year where he did, and they just were short of talent last year, and they just couldn't beat Dallas. But that was a great game by them and the Browns, you know, for making a comeback. But my bottom line is he has to step up, and if he doesn't step up, and we see the second half play of what we saw yesterday, it's going to look ugly, and I think we're going to lose. But if he can step up and give his sustained drives and work and move the ball down the field, then the Browns got a chance. Because our defense, Green Bay's defense, is not with Clay Matthews in there, Jr. and you know, stuff like that. I think the Browns would have a chance. But I think, again, this is a cliche, but I think the ball's in Weeden's hand. And if he does what he did yesterday, he's done. I really do after tomorrow's game.
Well, don't forget, this is a Browns defense that only had 1 sack in yesterday's game against the Detroit Lions. And you know Aaron Rodgers knows how to get rid of that football just as well as Matthew Stafford. Hey, Joe, thanks for calling us, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to Joe Monaco all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Joe, best of luck to you. We'll talk to you maybe next week after we see what the Cleveland Browns do. How about that?
That'd be great, LG. I hope we get better, results this night coming up Sunday. Like I say, in the NFL, you don't never know what's going to happen. But yeah, I'd love to be talking to you next week, man.
All right, Joe Monaco, thanks for calling, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right, LG. Thanks for having me, man, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Joe Monaco all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. He's definitely been a fan of the Cleveland Browns for a long period of time. I don't know what's going to happen next week when the Browns head into take on the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. It's not going to be pretty with Brandon Weeden at the helm. Thanks for joining us here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. We look forward to talking to you next week with another edition of the Cleveland Sports 360 show, and hopefully we'll be celebrating a Browns victory. God bless you, take care, and we'll see you soon.